Take a roll of pizza dough and let's make this tortano together. So first of all, I'm going to cut the cold cuts and cheeses. So I start by cutting the salami, then I cut the cooked ham, I cut the pancetta, then I cut the sharp provolone and the mild provolone. I mix everything together. Now I've rolled out a sheet of pizza dough on the counter. I spread pecorino cheese all over the surface. Then I add black pepper and hard-boiled eggs. Let's try to arrange everything evenly. Then I add the cured meats and cheeses. I leave a bit of space at the edges now. Using the parchment paper to help, I roll it up okay and join the two ends together. By the way, you can find my two cookbooks only on Amazon worldwide. Search for Carlo Gaiano recipes and they'll arrive within 2 days. I move the casatiello, the tortano, into a baking pan, brush the top with egg yolk, then put it in a preheated oven and bake at 160 to 170 degrees Celsius on the conventional oven setting for at least 45 minutes. Let's see. Look how beautiful it is. I mean, can you believe this? Oh my, controversy after controversy. But then whoever tastes this recipe even licks the plate clean. Make this white ragu my way. Let's get started. So, first of all, in a pan, I put some extra virgin olive oil. Then I add a chopped mix of celery, carrots, and onions, and I let it saute for a few minutes. Very good. Now I add the ground beef or veal, the ground pork, and keep it on the heat for a few minutes, stirring often. Very good. Now I deglaze with white wine, leave it on high heat and let it evaporate. Once the wine has evaporated perfectly, I add half of the hot vegetable broth I had set aside here. Then I lower the heat to the minimum. I cover with the expandable lid and let it cook for 2 hours. During cooking, if necessary, I will add a little more hot broth. After 2 hours have passed, I add the milk. And still on low heat, let it cook for another hour. Perfect. Look how amazing this is. Now I turn off the heat, add a bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, give it a good stir, then transfer a few ladles of ragu into a pasta pan. And since the water is boiling, I salt it. I cook the tagliatelle and 1 minute before the end of the cooking time, I let them finish cooking and absorb the flavors well, stirring and keeping it on low heat. Perfect. Now I turn off the heat. And plate it. Let's see. Mommy. If you're looking for an easy, quick, and very tasty main course, make this beer and lemon chicken. Let's get started. So first of all, I coat the meat in flour. If you want, you can skip this step. Once all the meat is floured, put it in the pan. I add some extra virgin olive oil, and once the oil is hot, I put in the chicken thighs. Once they're all in, I let them brown on all sides over fairly high heat for 8 minutes. In the meantime, I roughly chop the onion, then I turn the meat and let it brown on the other side as well. Perfect. Now I add the onions and let them soften just a bit. Now I add the beer, set it to medium-low heat, cover with the lid, and let it cook for about 25 minutes. Perfect. After 25 minutes, I add the lemon juice and then a splash of water to tone down the beer a bit. I turn up the heat a bit, put the lid back on, and let it cook for about 15 minutes. Here we are. At this point, we can either turn it off now or without the lid, let it cook for another 45 minutes to let it dry out a bit. Okay, now I turn off the heat, add the salt, put in a bit of pepper, let it cook for a few minutes and stir a bit. And I'm going to serve it. Add a bit of cream. Let's see. Mamma mia, whether as a main dish or a tasty and delicious side, make this cauliflower salad with me. Let's get started. So first of all, you need to clean the cauliflower. So I remove the leaves from the central stem, then I take off the stem, and then I gently separate the florets from the central stalk. Then I cut the larger florets in half or into 4 parts, depending on your preference. Then, once they're cut, I put all the florets in a container and rinse them under running water really well. If you prefer, soak them for about half an hour in water with a tablespoon of baking soda. Then drain and rinse them really well, very thoroughly. Now I salt the water, which as you can see is boiling, and blanch the florets for 10 to 12 minutes. In the meantime, in the immersion blender cup, I put the parsley, then I add half or 1 small clove of garlic. Prima privo dell'anima. Then I add some salt-packed capers, a little anchovy in oil. Then I add some extra virgin olive oil, a splash of cauliflower cooking water, and blend. Oh, good, good. Perfect. Now I put the cauliflower in a colander to let them drain well. Then, once they're well drained, I transfer them to a bowl. I add the seasoning and start mixing. Here we go, they're ready. And at this point I can plate them. So let's take a look. Oh my, this super easy potato Parmigiana will drive you crazy, because in its simplicity it's an explosion of flavors.
Make it with me, let's get started. So first I peel the potatoes and slice them.
Then, once I've cut them all, I rinse them well under running water until the water, which will be cloudy at first, becomes clear. Okay, now in a small pot I melt the butter, and once it's melted I add the flour, stirring until I get the... Then I slowly add the milk and keep stirring. And once all the milk has been added, I keep stirring over low heat for a few minutes until the bechamel thickens. Perfect. Now I add the salt, a bit of pepper, a bit of nutmeg, and I keep stirring. Perfect. It should look like this. Now, on the bottom of a baking dish, I put a bit of bechamel, make a first layer with the potatoes, add a bit of salt, a little pepper, and a bit of bechamel. The grated cheese, then I add the cooked ham, the crumbled pork sausage, the soft cheese, and I make more layers in the same way until I use up all the ingredients. Very good. On the last layer, I put the rest of the bechamel, the parmesan, a bit of sausage that I have left. Then I add a bit of breadcrumbs and a little extra virgin olive oil. I put it in the oven and cook it for at least 90 minutes at 150 degrees on the fan-assisted setting. And here it is. Let's take a look. Here it is. Oh my, it's easier to make than it is to say. This grilled artichoke recipe will leave you speechless. Make this delicious dish with me. Let's get started. So first of all, you need to prepare a bowl full of water and lemon juice, and then I start cleaning the artichokes. So I remove the bottom part of the stem, start peeling it by rotating it in my hand, begin to remove the outer leaves, then I start cleaning the bottom part. I remove the tips, detach the stem, and temporarily put it in water. Once they're all cleaned, I cut the artichoke in half and remove any choke if there is some. Then I slice them into pieces just under a centimeter thick and immediately put them in water as I go. By the way, you can find my cookbooks only on Amazon worldwide. Just search for Carlo Gaiano recipes and you'll get them in at most 2 days. Okay, now I chop a bit of parsley, then I cut a clove of garlic in half, remove the core, chop it finely, put everything in a small bowl, add some extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of pepper, a bit of salt, and mix it all well. Alright, now with a hot grill, after letting them drain a bit, I cook them for a couple of minutes on each side. Here we go. Now I flip them and cook them for another couple of minutes on the other side as well. Now I take them off and proceed with the next batch in the same way, which I'll cook just a little bit longer. Here we go. Now while they're hot, I'll season them, mix well, and then onto the plate. Let's see. Wow, this cocoa bundt cake is really good, easy, and quick. Make it with me. Let's get started. So first I pour the eggs into a bowl, then I add the sugar, start whisking, and gradually add the oil and milk. And then in another bowl, I sift the flour, add the cocoa, then the baking powder and the chocolate chips. Mix well to combine the dry ingredients. Then little by little, I add the dry ingredients to the liquids. I mix vigorously until I get a lump-free batter, and then I butter it all over and flour it, making the flour stick to the butter. Then I pour the batter into the pan. Then I level it out really well. After that, I put it in a preheated oven and bake it in the center for 45 to 50 minutes at 180 degrees C. By the way, let me remind you that my 2 cookbooks are available only on Amazon worldwide. Just search for Carlo Gaiano Reset. You'll receive them in no more than 2 days. And here it is. Now I'll take it out of the pan, sprinkle a bit of powdered sugar on top, and taste it with you. Let's see. Oh my goodness.